Hello and good evening to all the participants, and I welcome you to the 15th class of Grandmaster R B Ramesh 52-week chess training program, that is Chess Gurukul program. And my name is Amit Kashyap, and I will be moderating today's session. So people are still joining, so just a reminder, during the class you can ask your questions on the chat, and any generic question you can put in the Q&A box, which we will take at the end of the session. So we have a very healthy number to start, sir. So I invite Ramesh, sir, to start the class.
Yeah, thank you very much, Amit. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So we'll just wait for a few more seconds. People are logging in, and then we can begin. So today's session is about opposite color bishop endgames. Mostly about endgames we are going to look at it. Okay, not from a middle game viewpoint. Yeah, namaskaram, good evening. So people are still logging in. Yeah, good evening, everyone. So you can see the chess set clearly, right? No complaints? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So the numbers are kind of stabilizing, increasing very slowly. Yeah, since it is about opposite color bishops, I have to start with very basic endgames. And so some of the portions could be repeating from the dream room because not all of you are subscribers of dream room. So some of you are not non-dream room subscribers. So I have to show the important positions to them as well. Okay, so let's begin from some very basic positions. As you all know, the opposite color bishop positions, they have a very high drawing tendency. Okay, so there's a good chance that even if you are one or in some cases even 2 pawns, if you have extra, still the position could end in draw. Okay, so this we need to be aware when we go for opposite color bishop endgames. And I remember when I was young, when I was told that when I was shown like few examples and told that opposite color bishops mostly they end in draw. So how I took it is like all opposite color bishops endgames are drawn, or most opposite color bishop endgames are drawn. So what I used to do, I simply avoid all opposite color bishop endgames, thinking like even if I have 1 or 2 pawns up, it should end in a draw. But later I saw some examples, some typical examples where even sometimes 1 pawn up can win, 2 pawns up can win. So that typical winning methods, when we see them, then we realize, okay, not all opposite color bishops endgames are drawn. Like Taraj said, all rook and pawn games are drawn, right? So it doesn't mean all rook and pawn games are drawn, just that the drawing tendency is more. We need to be careful. Okay, so now I'll just start with some very basic positions. Now, usually the 2 pawns, connected pass pawns, they are winning. Only in one case it is a draw. And I believe most of you know how to draw this, right? Yeah. So the drawing mechanism is you have to keep the bishop in a place where it attacks the pawn. This is the most important thing. Now, one general principle I will tell you in opposite color bishop endgames, understand this clearly. The side who is playing for win, okay? The side who is playing for win should try to keep his pawns in the same color as opponent bishop. Okay, so here black has white color bishop. So ideally, white will want the pawns in white colors, same color as opponent bishop. Okay, but if you are playing for a draw, if you are defending and playing for a draw, then you should keep the pawns in the same color of your bishop. So the bishop's pawns will be safe. Your bishop can defend the pawns. Understood? Yeah, good evening everyone. Good evening Vikram. So people are still logging in, but it's kind of stabilized now. Okay, so as I said, the side playing for win should try to keep the pawns in the same color as opponent's bishop. Let him attack our pawns. Okay, so if opponent has white color bishop, we should also have white color bishop. Got it? So now the drawing mechanism is BD7. And now once you get this, you keep the king on F7, bishop on D7, and then you keep playing bishop C8, BD7, bishop C8, BD7, and it is a draw. Whenever he push E6, we take bishop E6 and it's a draw. And unfortunately, he cannot come king D5 to play E6. Because if king D5, bishop into F5 will go. Okay, so let us quickly see. Now this is a draw. Yeah, so now what we do, we just move the bishop back and forth and it's a draw. White cannot make any progress. Okay, now one of you suggested, like Gautam Balachandar, he suggested bishop b3. Okay, and so now also it looks like when he plays e6, we will take bishop e6 and it is a draw. But this is not the correct way to make a draw. Why? Because our bishop is not attacking the f5 pawn. Okay, so remember one thing, the defending side, you should keep attacking his pawns and force him to push in the wrong color. Okay, ideally white wants the pawn f5 e6. Okay, not e5 f6, because once he push e5 f6, it will be easily blockaded. So how we ensure that? By keep attacking the pawns. So the defending side should attack opponent's pawns with the bishop. This is very, very, very important. Okay, don't keep playing waiting moves without attacking the pawn. Usually it's a bad decision. So here what is happening? Black is not attacking any pawn. He's simply thinking like if e6 comes, I will take. Okay, now what we should ideally do is we should give a check to the bishop. Okay, so you might have seen in the notation bg5 is coming. Okay, but we have two choices. One is bishop g5 check. The other is bishop b4 check. Okay, the winning mechanism is you have to give the correct check out of the two, bg5 or bb4. One of them is winning, one of them is not winning. Okay, so once you give a check, he will have to go either king f7 or king d7. If he goes king d7, okay, if he goes king d7, we should try to come to f6 and then push the pawn. Once you get e6, it is winning. Understood? So if he goes to d7, if he goes this side, we go this side with the king, opposite side. So same way, if he goes king f7, we go king d6. Understood? So now, one more, let me remove these arrows. So now if he goes king here, we come here and then push the pawn. Understood? This is called outflanking. So if he goes to the right, we go to the left. If we go to the left, we go to the right. Okay, so let us see. Now we check. Now if b4 check, okay, he will go here. Now what is the winning mechanism? We have to take the king here and push, right? But when we do that, king f6 and let us see. King d4. So he's going to come king c5, king d6, and then push e6 and try to win. But this is the correct move. Now you understand? You should keep attacking the pawns. This is very, very, very important for the defending side. You should not simply wait. You should attack the pawns. Remember this. So now if you place f6, it's a simple draw. And if you place e6, you come here, idea bishop f5. Now it is blockaded. So he has pushed the pawns in black. You simply sit with king f7 and it's a draw. Understood? So here what is happening is when you push e6, he gets this square. Okay, that is why he is making a draw. So what we should do is we should go the other way. This check. Now when he comes bishop c2 and we push e6 check, he cannot come king f6. Understood? Okay, so now he has two choices. He can go here or he can go here. Okay, so let us see one by one. So if he goes here, what we should do? where should the white king aim for? F6 square. Okay, the king should aim for F6. Okay, so how is that possible? So you have to go here, 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 right? So in this, the bishop G5 is on the way. Okay, so some of you like Vidya Shankar joined recently. They want us to repeat the whole thing again. So I will see, because it's like 10 minutes into the session. So I will see if we can explain it again. So please listen carefully from this point on. Okay, so the king goes to B7. We try to go to F6. Okay, so now you can start with king F4 and then bishop H4, or you can play bishop H4 and then king F4, king G5, king F6. Okay, so in the game, okay, doesn't really matter, because if he leaves that, if the bishop leaves this diagonal, we will push E6. So he keeps waiting. See, now what is the wrong thing here? The bishop should be here, king should be here. Okay, it should be interchanged, but he has put it in the wrong way, and the bishop is not attacking the pawn. If the bishop was on D7, it will be attacking the pawn. Okay, now since the bishop is in the wrong place, our king can. So now we want to come king F6 and then push E6 without allowing the sacrifice. So he will come here to stop. Now what we do, we give discovered check. Okay, he has to move, attack the bishop. Now he cannot come king E7, king F6. And now we achieve E6. Okay, and we are winning. So now what we will do, once the king goes back, we will come here and it's winning. Okay, king E5, F6, F7. Okay, so the drawing mechanism is you should attack the pawn. This is the drawing mechanism. Now you just keep moving the bishop back and forth, it's a draw. So you understood the drawing mechanism against two pawns? So like this, we should keep the king and bishop. Main point, the bishop should attack the pawn. If you don't attack the pawn, it is lost. Okay, I showed you how it loses if you simply wait. Now let us see the other method. Like when he plays here, we give check. Now we saw king d7, right? So let us see king f7. So now what we should do? Where we should aim? When he goes king f7, we should aim for d6, outflanking. So if the king goes this side, we go this side. If his king goes this side, we go this side. Okay, so now we go after that square. Now the point is, if he comes bb1, like in the previous example, we give check and he does not have king f6 or king e7. So he has to go down and then you push. It's over. Okay, so now if you try to wait with bishop g6 and all, now you can simply bring the king here and it's over. Okay, because he will keep waiting bishop h5, bg6, bh5, bg6. Doesn't matter which route you take, you have to come king h6, king g7, and then you win with f7. Understood? So this is quite simple. Only one thing you have to remember, don't wait passively like this. See here the bishop, it is not attacking any pawn. It is simply preventing f7, right? But it is not attacking any pawn. Don't do that. You have to attack the pawn and prevent the pawn advance. So can we go to the next example? Yeah. Okay, so now this is a similar situation, but this is a draw. Now ideally, where should the bishop be? Which is the best square for the bishop? here. Okay, from here it should attack the pawn, and then it is a draw. But we don't have time for that. Okay, but here it is still a draw. Can you tell me why? Even though the bishop is in the wrong place, not attacking the g5 pawn, it is still a draw. Can you tell me why? We have seen in the previous example the winning method. Yeah, so once you go, see in the previous example, 1 minute. In the previous example, what happened? When he came like this, we gave this check. And now how did we win? So now we need the entry for the king, right? And what did we do? We moved the bishop back, right? And then the king could enter, right? Now let us see in this example. Now when you give this check, he goes here, you come here. Now the bishop cannot go to this area, right? So the king cannot come to g6. That is the problem. Okay, so let us see. So now if you give this check here, he goes here, here. Now the problem is the king cannot come to g6. I want the h5 square for my king. So if I can get king h5, king g6, I am winning, right? Now the bishop cannot go i4, bishop i4, right? So now I can, he will just wait. So I can come with the bishop. He waits. But now the problem is I need to come here, then I am winning. But how do I come there? I have to move my bishop, right? So let us see. He waits. This is very important. If I don't do that, I will come here. So suppose I move like this. Then I come here, I'm winning. And finally I get to g6 and it pushes. Okay. So the very important move is I have to stop. This I have to stop. Now how do I get my king to g6? Okay, so I can go bishop h7. Idea king g6. So what will black do? He will stop it. Now how do I get king g6? If I don't get king g6, how do I push f6? And this is the problem. Understood? Do this outflanking we are not able to do. We are not able to get the king to g6. Okay, outflank means when the kings are like this, facing each other like in opposition. If he goes here, you go here. If he goes here, you go here. This is outflank. Okay, they are facing each other. If he goes this side, you enter this side. If he goes this side, you enter this side. This is outflank. Okay, so this is another way to draw. This is drawing mainly because the pawns are in the corner of the board. If the pawns are in the middle of the board, and if you simply wait without attacking pawns, you will lose. But when the pawns are in the corner, near the corner, then you can even passively defend like he did it in this game. So can we go to the next example? Okay. Now, so we saw how to make a draw when the pawns were connected. Next files. Okay. But now we are going to see an example where the pawns are away from each other. Okay. Now, how many files away from each other? 2 files. Right? So the pawns are 2 files away from each other. So when the pawns are 2 files away from each other, you can still draw. But if it is 3 files, usually it is lost. 3 or more. Okay. So if the pawns are next to each other, you can draw. Pawns are 2 files away from each other, you can draw. But for drawing these positions, you should know some basic principles. Okay. What are the basic principles? The defending side should follow the attacking king. So the defending king should follow the attacking king. So whenever the opponent king goes, you also go with the defending king. Understood? So wherever his king goes, we have to follow like this. If he goes like this, we follow the king like this. Understood? So the defending king should keep following the opponent king. This is one important principle. The second important principle is the defending bishop should stop both the pawns on the same diagonal. These two principles you have to remember. Okay? What are the two principles? The defending king should follow the attacking king. The bishop should stop both the pawns in the same diagonal. Okay, now let me explain. I don't know whether you understood this point. If you see this bishop, it is not allowing these two pawns to cross this diagonal. Okay. Now, let us see. Suppose he goes king d5. Okay, what we should do? Follow the king. So we come here. So what is he trying to do? He's trying to come here. Okay, what we should do? Follow the king. Now he cannot push both the pawns. See, if the pawn is already on f5, now he can push f6. Okay, but both the pawns are controlled by the bishop along the same diagonal, etc. So now this cannot be won. Understood? So you always keep the opposition. You understood this? So wherever he goes, you just follow the king. Okay, it's quite easy. So when the pawns are 2 files away from each other, this is the drawing mechanism. The king follows the king. Bishop should stop both the pawns in same diagonal. Okay. Now let us see the next example. So far, is it clear? Any confusion? Okay, good too. Yes, no. Very good answer. Okay, so now this position, now are the pawns are in same diagonal? The pawns are not in the same diagonal, but still it is a draw. Okay, the pawns are 2 files away. Okay, the pawns are 2 files away, and the pawns are bishop is not stopping both the pawns in the same diagonal. Okay, what Akshat? What question? Akshat, ideally you should ask. I asked you, is there any question? You should have asked by then. Okay, quickly tell me what your question is. Akshat, 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 Akshat. I thought there is a move. King E7. I don't understand. Where is King E7? So there is no King E7. Okay, he will just keep moving the bishop. No, Akshat said some King E7 and white can play forward. Black will just keep moving the bishop. Bishop H2, Bishop G3 like that, etc. Okay, so this position, let's see how it's a draw. Okay, now because this is a draw, because one of the pawn is a knight pawn. Okay, so ideally when two pawns are separated by 2 files, the bishop should stop the pawns in same diagonal. It is easy draw. But if one of the pawn is a knight pawn, okay, then even if the pawns are not, the bishop is not stopping the pawns in the same diagonal, you can still make a draw because one of the pawn is a knight pawn. Okay, so I will show you how. So just bring the king, follow the king. Okay, Now he pushes the pawn, come here. Now he cannot come king d3, e2. So if he pushes b2, it's simple draw. You just keep waiting. The king will stop the e pawn, bishop will stop the b pawn. Okay, so what he will try to do, he will try to go cleverly like this. Now what does he want? He wants to come here, then what? Maybe b2, then king a2 and queen. Okay, but if he comes king a3 and then b2, we come bb1. Understood? If he plays king a3 and b2, we will play bb1. The king cannot come inside to a2. Okay, so we'll see. You will understand. So we just wait. Now let him show the plan. He comes king a3. So now what is the plan? What is black going to do now? Next move. So he has two moves. One, he can come first king a2, stopping bb1, and then push. Right? He can come king a2, stopping bb1, then push the pawn, or first push the pawn, then king a2. Okay? This is the only winning plan. Or he can play king b2, king a1, b2 b3. Sorry, b2 b1. Right? King b2, king a1, b2 b1. Three plans. Right? So out of these three plans, like Janavi said, if b2, we have bb1, and it is a draw. Right? And then you play king e2, king d1, king e2, king d1, king e2, king d1. It's a draw. You have to find a draw for other moves. Okay. He waits. So basically, white is telling, choose which plan you want out of the three, and then I will defend. Okay. So if b2 here, now I will just keep playing these two moves. You cannot stop. Okay. I'll show everything. Don't be in a hurry. So king a2 is also possible. Don't worry. Okay. Now what is this idea? King a1, b2, b1. Right? So can we allow king a1 or not? This is the question. If you allow king a1, we are lost. Then we cannot stop b2. We cannot stop b1. So only way to stop king a1 is bishop here. Okay, now e2 is not possible. So we have a lot of waiting moves. We'll just keep waiting in this diagonal. Okay, so he has to make some progress. Now, if I go king a3, what you should do? I cannot go king a1 now. I can go king a2 or king a3. If I go king a3, okay, let us see king a2. What we should do? Now the problem is he cannot push b2. So we just wait somewhere, g8 or e6. Now his problem, we are simply going to wait. King b2 also wait. Next move. And when you play bishop f5, he will play king a2 and queen the pawn. So whenever he goes there, here. Yeah, doesn't matter. It's the same. And we again reach the position, etc. Any confusions? So whenever he comes king a2, we pin the pawn. Whenever he comes king b2, idea king a1, we don't allow king a1. And whenever he comes here, you stay in the pin. Whenever he goes to a3, come to this diagonal. So when you push, you have this move. Stop king a2. That's it. This is all you should know. Okay. So if you want, what you do, you keep this position, maybe reverse color, maybe G pawn and D pawn instead of E and B, something like that, and play some blitz games with your some friends, and then we already saw that. Or now we already saw King B2. Did we not? We saw this, right? Okay, so let's go to next example. No, what is the point? So Arnav is asking, why not come king b2 before pushing b3? What is the point? What are you trying to achieve? He's telling when the pawn is on b4, now he can come king b2. What is the point? What are you trying to achieve? So I come here. What you do? Now if you come here, I won't let you push the pawn. You have to come back again. Okay? But what are you trying to achieve? King c3, I just wait. You have already seen this. Now b2, it's a draw. And if you come here, idea of king a1, we do this. King a2, just wait. If king a3, come here. Okay? So just play some few blitz games and you will understand. Okay. Now I have to go very quick, okay? I have to go long way. Okay. Okay. How is this? Game of Carpo. I don't know. I don't have the information here. Yeah, Botanic Koto probably. Or Koto Botanic, whatever. Yeah, could be Koto Botanic. Okay. It's a draw, says Arnav. Arav. Amulya, it doesn't matter. Okay. No, this position, let us come to this position. We have come to the next position. See, some of you, what you're doing, you're asking a doubt from a previous example. Then I have to go all the way. Okay. So when I say, can I go to the next position? If you have a doubt, you should ask the doubt then and there. Otherwise, we'll be coming back and forth. Okay. So this position, it doesn't matter who to play and all. It's winning for black, but very instructive. So generally, what we learned is if you have connected pass pawns and he comes to the right place with the bishop and king, it will be a draw. And when the pawns are away from each other, your chances are increasing if the distance between the pawns is more than 2 files. Okay, so let us see how the game continuation goes. So what he's trying to do, he's trying to enter with the king and then push the pawn. Okay, so he's going this side. He has to keep defending the h4 pawn. Okay, so now how to play for win. So Ramya says king e3. It's a simple draw. Bishop c2. What is the problem? The bishop becomes tied down to the pawn. Okay. Kushal, you know the idea, so you are doing it in the very wrong place. That is why if you just mug up the moves without understanding, we won't know what we are doing and why we are doing. Okay, so many of you are suggesting king e3. This is a simple draw because I will take. Okay, and even if you take, I just come here. Okay, and then I'm going to block. So if you come here, I'll give check. And if you come here, here. Now how will you run? I will just keep moving the bishop. Okay, back and forth. It's a draw. Okay, because you have only one pass pawn and you cannot create second pass pawn, and white king stops the d pawn. It's an elementary draw. Okay. So king e3, king b3 is a draw. So now the winning is very simple. Just come here. So some of you said d4 and then bishop e6. Okay, Shrishwan said first d4. No need. You can first play bishop e6. Now if king b3, d4 check, d into e3, you have a pass pawn with king support. Okay. So now we are going to take king into e3. That is a threat. Okay. So he comes here. What to do? Now if you come king g4, bishop e7. King f3, bishop c5. It looks like a draw. Eat. Eat. Kushal knows this idea. So when I kept the position, he said g5, first move. Okay, doesn't know where g5 comes or why g5 comes. And Sandeep, you have said this many times. I have seen this game, but seeing is not enough. You have to understand and remember if possible. Why G5? Someone tell me. Srikar gave the answer, but I didn't acknowledge it that time because then everyone will see Srikar's answer and then you will tell. So I let a lot of chats come. Now don't go all the way and look at Srikar's answer. Try to find it yourself. G5 is the right move, but why? But to why you? Give me clear reason. Give move order. So G5, H5, you have H4 answer. But FG5, so you're saying like after G5, FG5, King G4, I cannot protect the H4 pawn. Like when I come Bishop E7, you'll take King into H4, right? Okay, that is a mistake. Remember this principle in opposite color bishop. Same diagonal. Okay, now remember this very important, same diagonal. Okay, this beautiful bishop is going to show its power in this diagonal. Let us see how. So G5. Now if H5, this is easy. Now if F5, so the bishop can come here and stop the pawn. Okay, take, push, he has to stop. Okay, now the pawns are 3 files away and it's winning. Okay, the bishop will stop the G pawn easily. So Hg5 doesn't work. Let's see Fg5. Now, many of you suggested king g3 or king g4. That is a mistake, because if you directly come here, he can take the pawn. Okay, and when you give discover check, he will move. Draw. Okay, bishop will sacrifice itself for the pawn. Okay, you need 2 pawns, not 1 pawn to win. Okay, so what you should do, g5, fg5, very important. This is the second pass pawn, and this will be one pass pawn, this will be one pass pawn, very far away from each other. Okay, so however he takes, now we go. There is no bishop e7 supporting the pawn. Now the beauty is the bishop is defending this pawn, stopping this pawn, stopping this pawn in the same diagonal. Beautiful, no? It stops opponent's 2 pawns and defends our 1 pawn, all in the same diagonal. So it frees the king completely. The king, it says, go, take the h pawn, go to king g2, push h2, and win the game. Nice. So suppose you do, doesn't matter, and it's over. It's just going to push, push. So you see how the bishop is doing a wonderful job. One diagonal principle. This is extremely important. Okay? Nice example, no? But this is very well known. But for young players, maybe not. Okay, so can I go to the next position now? If anyone has any doubts, please ask now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to the next position. No doubts. Okay. Now, white to play. Ramesh is saying I have a doubt. Previous position? Ramesh? Sir, I have problem. What problem? Headache or stomachache? What is your problem, Ramesh? If you have headache, you should sleep well. If you have stomach pain, you should eat well. Ramesh, we are waiting for you. What is your problem? I think he has a very big problem. 2 sentences maybe. Okay, so Pratmesh is not responding. Let's go to the position. Okay, so how should white play for win here? Now you have 1 pass pawn, right? But is this enough for a win? Okay, so Jeet Shah says King d3, King e4, King d5, King e6, King f7, and win. And what if black plays King d6? What if when you go King e4, he comes King d6? Yeah. So you have to create a second pass pawn. And how do we do that? a3, b4. Okay, and if he takes ab4, ab4, cb4, or cb4, ab4, ab4, then we'll have the c pawn as well, pass pawn. right? So, Vaishnavi, I should probably block you. So what Vaishnavi is doing is just searching the position in chess base and copy pasting the answers here. That's really very smart, Vaishnavi. Amazing intelligence. You found all this answer yourself. Okay, I'm Vaishnavi. I think you'll become a GM very soon. Very good. Congratulations. Okay. So others, those who are serious about learning, let's go to the position. Let's not do cheating business. Let's try to find the answer. Okay. So A3 before we were discussing, but let us say you come king D3. So now you can do A3 B4 with king on C3, right? So if you play A3, what will he do? Let's go logically, step by step. So if you go A3, he will go bishop F8 and stop. Okay, so you can go for A3, he can go bishop F8 and stop B4. What you should do then? And we also know one more thing. Whenever you come king E4, idea king D5, what should black do? Vikram Kara, you will see one by one, okay? So whenever you go king E4, idea king D5, he should come king D6, right? So what is wrong with king D6? When you go king E4, he comes king D6. What is wrong with that? So it blocks the bishop F8 diagonal. So it can give you B4 break. Okay, and he cannot take it with the bishop. Now the question is, where should the white bishop be? Because when you come king E4, you have to threaten king D5, right? When you go king E4, you want king D5. But if the bishop is on D5, okay, you cannot get that. Okay, Shrish, I mean, we just have to do what should be done. That is the most important thing. Okay, so where should the bishop be? This is the question. Now, when you play b4, ab4, ab4, cb4, in that position, where would you want the white bishop be? He's setting b3, b2, right? After you play b4, ab4, ab4, cb4. So let us see how the game goes. He's mixing all this stuff, okay? So he first brings the bishop. Okay, so let us see. Now b4 is threatened, okay? So he comes here. Now you cannot play b4. This is the best square because it prevents b3. Not only it prevents b3, it also prevents the black king from coming king d8, king e8 like that. Later you will see. Okay, so the bishop on a4 is doing two things. One, it prevents b3. Two, it controls the d7, e8 squares. From c2, the bishop will not be controlling those squares. Understood? Okay, so now, okay, now what he can do? Now, if he waits, if he goes here, we'll push b4, create the second pass pawn, and the pawns are more than 2 files away from each other, and it is winning. So bishop cannot go to this diagonal. If the bishop comes to this diagonal, you'll simply push. So the bishop cannot move, right? Only the king can move. Now the king should not block the diagonal and allow b4, so he can come in b6 without blocking the diagonal of the bishop. Now what to do? king d3. So we want to come king e4, king d5. So how can he prevent it? So he again has to come to d6. And now you have seen probably. Okay, now one is you can come king e4 and then try to push b4. Okay, 1 minute. Now one you can try to come king e4 and push b4, but it is not working. Let us see the answer first and then see what happens to king e4. Okay, so b4 is the correct move. Takes, takes, takes. Now what? Now we have the bishop will stop the b pawn, and you have pawns h pawn and c pawn, which is more than 2 files away from each other, and it is winning. Now you have to play one accurate move, and it is over. You have to play c5, and he resigned. Why he resigned? Can someone give me variation? Variations. Variations. You have to show me till the end, okay? Or at least like 5-6 moves ahead. Or 4 moves, 3-4 moves ahead. Not 1 or 2 moves. That will be a draw, Ramya. Yes, Pranav. What's your question, Pranav? You have sent in Q&A. I will respond to it later, okay? Towards the end. If you have a question regarding the position, you have to type it in chat. If you have some general question, ask in Q&A, okay? The Q&A, I will take it towards the end. Okay, so some of you said c5, bishop c5. Okay, and now h6, not h6. You have to come here. I'll show what happens to h6 later, okay? He has to go back. If king here h6, now the bishop cannot go. bf8, bg7. So he has to go back with the bishop. Now you will see the difference between bishop c2 and bishop a4. He cannot come king d7, right? And if he goes here, he cannot come king e8. Okay, it's over. You will win the bishop for the h pawn. Okay. And no, but Pranav, what doubt it is? So Pranav is asking why not bishop h6? But we already know if pawns, two pass pawns, more than 2 files away, it is easily won. You just take the king and you will win the bishop for one of the pawn and win the game. Okay, now So some of you said, what about this? But here, how do you win? Okay, no win. And some of you said, like, I can come all the way to king h5, king g6. Okay, how do you win? How do you win? Maybe you can try something like this, and then wait. Looks one. Right? Probably this also winning. Jujong. Yeah, so Jeet says king g7. Fair. So it's are waiting. Yeah, okay. So now king g7. Okay, now it will be a draw. Unfortunately. Otherwise, h8 and king h7. No? Why Somil? No, but king f8, king e7, I'll give h8, no? I can king g6 and h8, no? Sanket? Okay, now let us see. We'll keep the bishop on h8 and king f8, king e7. That is also a draw. So what Sanket says is also a draw. So he comes here. When you come here, don't move the bishop. Just move the king back and forth. And I don't have king h7 square available for my pawn, king. Okay, so you have to come king c4, king d5, king e6. This is the way to win. Okay? So, Katar Matar Bin Bin. What is that? Very poor in Hindi. Okay, so we have to see one more variation. Which is what? So now the winning move is b4, ab, ab, cb, c5. This is the win, creating a second pass pawn. Okay, so you understood the winning method. If you want to win, you should be ready to sacrifice pawns. Like in the previous portion, we gave g5, right? We gave g5 and then created second pass pawn. In this game, we are giving b4 and creating second pass pawn. Okay, if you try to play with one pawn up throughout the game, it will be a draw. Okay, so without counting pawns, we have to create the second pass pawn. That is the key. Okay, so now let us see king e4. No, you just have to see many examples. So Gautam is asking how to calculate such a winning move in a game. Okay, once you see enough examples, you will know. Okay, and you have to improve your calculation ability. That's a different topic altogether. So if you are good in calculation, and if you have seen enough examples like this, then whenever such position comes, your memory will recollect and tell you, hey, there are such plans, and then you can calculate and play it. Okay, guys, chess is not easy and chess is not difficult. Okay, so chess is not difficult if you are willing to work hard, if you are willing to put the effort and learn. Chess will become very difficult if you want good results without working hard. Then chess will become big headache. Okay, so if you don't want to work hard, you simply want good results, then it will be a problem. I work with a lot of young children One of the common problems I see these days is everyone wants fantastic results, but they don't want to train too much. Okay. And the other thing is like they want the coach to teach everything, and then I will just sit and learn all the stuff. That is not how we learn things. Okay. For example, like let's say I have shown 10 examples today. Is 10 examples enough to learn everything about opposite cover bishop and games? No, you need more, right? So what you should do? You should investigate. Where can I get more examples in opposite cover bishop? And then you get that material, you see more examples, and then you will become an expert in opposite cover bishop. And then next week we see prophylaxis, let's say, and then let's say we see 5 to 10 examples in the class. Not enough. Then you get some material where you have more examples, go through those examples, and you become good in that. It should be like that. Okay. So it is months and months, years and years of work. Okay. So we have to see, we saw the correct way to win is b4. Let us see what happens to king coming. Idea, king d5. So he comes here. So now if you play b4, ab4, ab4, cb4, c5 check, he will take king into c5. It's a draw. No entry for the king. Okay. So white tries to create some entry. He tries to create a pass pawn, but no, I'm sorry. Okay, now this is the draw. Let us see how. Now we cannot take a3 because h6 will win. So bishop c1 is not threatening that. Now if we do this, take, idea c5 check, you give this check. No c5. Okay, and if you move the king anywhere, he will again come here and stop the pawn. Okay, and if we lazily play, let us see all the winning attempts after bishop c1. Now if you go here, he will attack the bishop. Okay, and if you just wait, this waiting move is important. Now if bishop into a3, h6 will come. So if pawn into pawn c5 will win. Black is fine. Okay, pawn into pawn, king into pawn. You are not able to create second pass pawn. Now the point is you are not able to push because the bishop is blocking. Nice. Okay, otherwise you could have pushed b5 and win the game. So what you should do is bishop c1 and it's a draw. But if you play bishop d2, now it is losing. Now to stop c5, you have to do bd3 check. And I come king d3. Now if the bishop was on b2, you could come here and stop the pawn. But now you cannot come this to stop the pawn. So you see the difference between bishop c1 and bishop d2? If the bishop is on d2, you don't, after bc3 check, see how he plays, white plays, smart, no? He doesn't come king d3 directly. He goes here, threatening c5 check, forcing you to come here, and then he comes here. Now you cannot stop. Okay, so can we go to the next example? Next one is even more complicated. Okay. Tada. let's quickly go. This theoretically also this is very important. Okay, I'll just show the thing. This game is Aronian versus somebody. Okay, I don't have the name. 2012 it is written. Okay, so let us theoretically also those who play English with white. Very important. If c6, rook b1 like that. Rook e1 check and rook b1 like that. And we have a pass pawn, but he has a blockade. Now all he wants is something like this and create a blockade. Okay. Now this bishop a5 check was very important. It's all very deep analysis. Now he's going to take on e5, exchange sack. Bishop e5, rook e5. Okay. Now if he takes the pawn, exchange sack. Matu. Shak Matu. So now you see why ba5 check. You get bishop c6, complete domination. Okay, so he didn't do that. Let's go to the opposite cover bishop endgame. Now again knight c4, rook e7. So now knight c4 is coming. He stops, defends the pawn. Now see this move. Amazing, no? Now the problem is the rook f8 is tied for the f6 pawn. If he comes knight f4, you have rook e7 check. Okay, so it's kind of zugzwang. If he comes to bishop e5, you will give exchange sack. Okay, he didn't give. I'm going quickly because I want to go to that opposite color bishop. Okay. One pawn up, but is it enough? How to play for them? Okay, a4 you can play anytime. Now you have to play a very important move for white. Bahut important high. So mostly it is king h3 or king f1. Okay, so the important move is this. Before he blocks the pawn, stops the pawn with king e7 or something, you have to push the pawn. Okay, the more advanced, one of the pieces will be tied for the d pawn. white would not lose, mother. You can maximum create one pass pawn. Okay. How is king g4 Sanskar? In the earlier position, you mean. So if you try to come king h3, king h4, you can either play bf6 or bishop f2. Okay, so king h3, there is no entry. Yeah, Sanskar, I understood. So he wants to maybe something like this. Okay, as an entry. So this is very important move. What black did. What is black doing? I told no, the defending side should keep attacking the pawns. This is very important. You have to attack the pawn, force the pawn in the same color as the bishop. Then it is easy to block the pawn. So if it comes here, you simply go. Okay, but we'll see. The f1, f2 pawn doesn't make any sense here. So what he wants to do, why he played bishop c7? What's the point? Yeah, so if black to play, he will just come and it will be a draw mostly. Okay, then our king will not have entry. So we should rush. Okay. Idea king e5, we stop. So defending the f4 pawn. What to do? Okay, some of you are saying a4, that is possible. What else? You have to find a winning plan now. Whenever you play a4, he'll play a6. So b5 will come. Don't worry about the c5 pawn now. Give me some variation. bg4. Very ambitious. Now you have to play a very important move. Okay, many of you said that move. I kept quiet. Yeah, I have to play this. Now we are going to and then move the bishop and create second pass pawn. Okay, but you can also consider bg4, very ambitious idea. So he has to go this. Okay, this is very interesting line. We take this pawn. Because if you go bg6, bh5, you lose the d7 pawn also. Okay, now we have two pass pawns. He takes. What to do? Yeah, so now this is one diagonal. Okay, the bishop can defend the d7 and stop the h pawn in one diagonal. So don't worry about the h pawn. But if he gets b5 and the c pawn becomes passer, then you have to be worried. Okay. Now how to play for win. King e6. So Anil is asking, when is the class going to end? It is every week. It is 7:30 to 9 p.m. Indian time. Okay. If he waits, what to do? Push the pawn. You have to create the second pass pawn. Okay. You push. Now the move which you wanted, a4, a6. Now, what is his threat? What is black's threat? He is going to play b5 and he will also have two pass pawns and black may even win. He'll push c4, c3 and then h3. Okay, you have to be careful. So you have to come king d5, stopping b5. Now what to do? Yeah, Rushan is right. Move the bishop away, clearing the path for the f pawn. Now, if you do this, push, idea f6. Okay, so you can create the next pass pawn, but we are also creating a pass pawn. Okay, and you have three pass pawns, and the game should win. Okay, so let's see what happened in the game. h4. Now he played a6. He did not play bd8 and give the f4 pawn. Okay, if king bd8, you get king into f4 and second pass pawn. So he plays a6. Now what to do? Yeah, you go bg4 or bg6. Now if king d7, bishop h5, bd8, bg4 check, and h5, you will have a pass pawn. Okay, so bd8. Now why did we go bishop g6? Now you have a choice. You can take king f4 or you can take bishop h5. So he did this, this. Now he's going to take king d7. So we gain a tempo. Now the point is, if you come here, he gets this counterplay. Okay. So now we are going to play d8 queen check. Goes here, takes. And his only counterplay b5. Now how to play for win? So now it looks like it's only 2 pawns, but only one file separating the pawn. Usually it should end in a draw, right? Even if we remove all the queenside pawns, the f pawn and e pawn should end in a draw. But for that, he should follow our king, right? You cannot win the game on the queen side, so don't play on the queen side. Many of you are suggesting cb5. You cannot win the game on the queen side. See, what can black do? He can take pawn into pawn, right? And then c3. Or he can play b4, a5, a4, b3, b3, a3, like that. But in both the cases, the bishop can stop one of the pawn. Only one passed pawn black can create on the queen side, and bishop can stop it. But if the bishop wants to stop the c pawn, then what happens to the d7 pawn? Okay, so what is the winning plan? Your king should go to e6 and then f4, f5, f6, f7, and you win. So you come here. Don't allow king d6. Okay, takes. Now you're simply going to push the f pawn. It's over. Idea c2, stop. See, on time the king e6 came to defend the d7 pawn. He waits. Now, last trap. If f5, he can play c2. Draw back. Idea d8 queen. Okay, now the bishop cannot attack the f pawn. So what you have to do, we need the f5 pawn move, but that will allow c2. So we bring the bishop. Now push the f pawn. Okay, now how to win? If the king is on e6, you could have played f6. With king e8, how to win? So what you should do, you should bring the king here and then push f6. But this will be hanging, right? So you go bishop a. Okay, one more move, bishop a4. Okay. Okay. Now last trick, c2. The pawn is too advanced. His king should be on f8, then etc. Okay, nice. So it's Aronian game. I don't have the black player's name. If you put reference, we should be able to find it. Okay, let me do it. I'll put reference. Okay, this is Aronian Naidish. I'll type the name. Istanbul Olympiad for 2012. Okay, it's Aronian Naidish 2012 Istanbul Olympiad. Okay, fine. So I hope you learned some useful things regarding opposite color bishop. There are a few more interesting examples, and many of them will be available in the Nurture Dream Room. So those of you who have Dream Room, you can refer to the opposite color bishop episode. In that you can see more examples. Okay, so now let me look at the Q&A. So I have 10 questions. Tomorrow I have to play against an opponent from white side who plays e4, d5, ed5, knight f6, d4, bg4. Okay, so Wait. So 1 minute. I have to go to the initial position. Somebody asked some doubt regarding tomorrow's game. Okay, so Anonymous is asking, oh, this one. What should I do? Okay, in my view, this is good enough. Okay, next you should play c4, knight c3, castle. And this position, if you search, you will get many good games. The white is good. Okay, rook d1, rook d3, and then you should push d5. Okay, so for bg4, what you can do, b2, b2, queen e2, queen d5, knight of 3. Idea c4, castle, knight c3, and d5 punch should come. So if you just search this position, you will get some good games. Okay, so one question done. What will happen if rooks and two files? Rook pawn and another pawn, it will be a draw. Tejas Joshi. So he's asking if there are two pawns, what if one of the pawn is rook pawn? I already said even one of the pawn is knight pawn, it is a draw. So rook pawn should be a draw as well. And Saravana Bhavan Brijesh. In a real game, if I have bishop ending with several pawns, how to find whether the position is win or a draw? See, during the game, it is very difficult to calculate everything and find this. Okay, so you should study opposite color bishop at home, and you should know many different patterns, different ways to play for when this bishop in same color, king should follow, bishop on the same diagonal principle, pawn sacrifice to create second pass pawn. If the pawns are away, like more than two files away, you can win. So once you know all this, see more examples, then you can take better decision during the tournament. So Jitendra Verma, if 3 rounds in a day, how to maintain performance because it is very hectic in a tournament. So try to conserve a lot of energy. Okay, sleep well, eat well, and distract your mind away from the game. Like once a game is over, don't keep thinking about what happened or don't worry about the next game. Instead, try to divert your mind away from chess, give it some time to rest and relax, and then come back. Maybe you can take some novel, read some novel in between the games, distract the mind, and then go and play fresh. Don't do much preparation. Okay, so against Karakan, Ashrit Madhyadagan. Against Karakan in this variation, I don't know what that means. Shirish Ramin, sir, my school has started. How much time I should practice? So I feel you should practice. I've already answered this many times. Ideally, 3 to 4 hours or 2 to 4 hours in school days. Holidays, maybe 4 to 6 hours. Now, what is K factor? Okay, this and all. K factor, Yasha Speci is asking what is K factor. That is completely unrelated to chess training. It is something to do with international rating system which the FIDE has. I would suggest you to go to FIDE website and read about it. Okay, and Neo Bino. Whenever I see a end game, I really get bored. Believe me, when I was young, I was also bored by end games, but I understood if I have to be a good player, I have to be good in end game also. Okay, so you just have to accept it at some point that if you want to be a good player, you have to become good in end game, not just average. Okay, so start working on end games, and then you will start liking them. You are bored because you have not worked on end games. Anything you don't know, you will get bored. So see more end games, you will start liking it. End game is actually very interesting. So Ramya is asking, are there any books we should read about opposite color bishops? You can start with Dvorsky and Game Manual. There's a chapter on opposite color bishops and the Fundamental Chess Endings by Carsten Muller. Both these books, they have enough examples. Okay, fine. So we can stop today's session with this and resume next week same time, the usual time. Okay. So, Amin.
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for your time. And any parting word you would like to give to your students? Anything?
Yeah. Okay. So there are other grandmasters who have been taking similar sessions like Boris Avrok, Konstantin Landa, Bochko, Vandal. So you can go to the Nurture website. If you are interested, you can enroll and attend those sessions as well. It will be very useful for chess training. Okay. And those of you who have not purchased Dream Room, you can give it a try because it has like around 50 hours of videos and it covers all the topics from A to Z. Okay, so you can consider subscribing to that. And best wishes for those of you who are playing in KIT tournament. Yeah. Good night, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for your time and wisdom. And good night, sir.
Good night. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Yeah. And bye to all subscribers also. So we'll see you next time on the same date, same time on Nurture.